SEC football. It just means more. Now back to your favorite bearded duo, Todd and Marty.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Under Review podcast, episode 44. As we near the end of the college football season, it's right around the corner. Monday is the national championship. We've got our full breakdown here. I'm trying to get through. Had a few other things lined up, but it went to pot as things usually do around here. So we'll get everything broke down. Well, first, let's jump into our sponsorship real quick, and then we will.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
And as always, thank you for Chuck's Heating and Air for always keeping us cool in the summer and hot in the winter. So, guys, let's talk about it. Here we are at the end of the college football season. National championship right around the corner, as I previously led to. I'm kind of sad for it, but I know I'll be wanting more football soon. That's how we always get at the end of or get impatient waiting for the next football season. Let's jump into it. The national championship, guys, it's here. It's finally here. Everybody's excited for it. I think this is probably, out of everything that come around and through the playoffs and stuff, I think this is probably going to be our best matchup, especially with the things that happened with Georgia, Carson Beck, so forth. In Texas, not really living up to the hype that they did. But if you're watching guys on Facebook and vice versa, let's flip it over there and let's see how we got here. We can look at a lot of things here and see if the committee got it right, if the committee got it wrong. Yes, when the first 12-team playoff jumped out, that there was a lot of question marks as far as Indiana, SMU, Alabama, Miami kind of questions like that. But now that we're at the final two games, we really think we've got the best bang for our buck in the playoffs. It looks Texas to be in here having the hardest road fighting or playing against Clemson and then really taking a really close game to Arizona State. But then eventually run into the buzzsaw of Ohio State, which, looking at the games, they pretty much kind of walked into the national championship. Allegedly supposed to be the best game, the Oregon game, but they went in there, smacked them around. Tennessee just could not get it together in the first matchup that they had. So initially, the way I look at it is Ohio State walked into the national championship. Now we flip to the other side of the bracket. Again, Notre Dame took on Indiana in the first round, and this was why there were so many questions why this Indiana team was in when allegedly you had better teams in Alabama, Miami, and maybe even a South Carolina team. So they take care of them pretty well. The quarterfinals, we jumped down to Georgia. Like I mentioned earlier, Georgia's quarterback Carson Beck went out. Gunnar Stockton stepped in, and he just wasn't as polished as Carson Beck and that leader that they had in him. And Notre Dame really just kind of walked through there and had a really good game against this kind of depleted Georgia team. You flip down to the other side, Penn State kind of walks in here to face this Notre Dame team, and was so far one of the better games that we've had in the playoff. But Notre Dame finds a way to win. Late field goal. Really good defense through the whole entire game. So, and now it's set. The 2025 national title, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Ohio State Buckeyes, 6:30, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Game will be brought to you by ESPN, and I think it's on Plus, and I'm not sure if it's got other channels. But it's gonna be an epic ball game. As Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish have their first appearance since, I think, 2013, where they played Alabama and got demolished. But first, Marcus Freeman is I think, the biggest story here. On the Notre Dame side, a very young, talented coach coming in. I believe last year was his first year. I mean, second year at the helm, you've got your team into a national championship, but can you make it work? Other side of the ball, you jump over to Ryan Day, who has been criticized for not being able to win the big game. Mostly these games are against Michigan, their rivalry. But yeah, he's had 3 fairly, I don't want to say easy wins, because I don't think easy wins are a good spot to say right here in the playoffs, but he has walked to the national championship. Now the biggest question is, can he finish? Can he give the Ohio State their 9th title? And on the other hand, can Marcus Freeman give the Notre Dame Fighting Irish their 12th title? A lot of these were early titles back in the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. Notre Dame played the 1-13, and then I believe Ohio State won one with Urban Meyer, and then I think a handful of years back, Jim Trussell may have won 1 or 2. Not a whole 100% sure, but don't fact check me because I'm probably wrong. Probably more than likely. How that slide get in there twice? So let's kind of jump into it. Let's break down the keys for Ohio State. Let me pucker on my phone here and see if I can't pull this up like I had it earlier, because this is only like the 4th or 5th time we tried to record today. But nonetheless, it is what it is. We'll break both of these teams down to a certain extent, and then we'll go into the regular part of it. Keys to Ohio State. Well, I mean, I talked with Todd, and me and him talked a good bit about it. One of their biggest is keep their pass rush. The defensive line and the linebacker course are really going to have to stay active and keep Riley Leonard guessing on every down. It's hard not to, your rushers can tap in and tap out, but you got to keep him Leonard. You've got to work that offensive line of Notre Dame, who has been very tremendous this year. Possibly a top 5 line in the country at this gesture. Allegedly, Texas had one of the best lines in the country here. But if you're making it to the national championship, your line has to be better than most teams around. So I think if you can disrupt Riley Leonard's progressions, stay in the backfield a lot, I think it raises your chances to win this ball game a lot higher. Now, for Will Howard, on the second key here, he has got to get his playmakers involved early and often. Jeremiah Smith, I don't remember what Henderson's first. Travion Henderson, we got to make these guys work. As we've seen in the last Ohio State game, Jeremiah Smith was kind of, he had a few plays, but nothing explosive like he did in that game before, where against Oregon, where he was all over the field. So who's going to step up if that not be the key? But I still like Jeremiah Smith to be that playmaker for Will Howard. And for Henderson, little screen passes and shuts out from Howard can make a big difference in your offensive game moving forward. And for me on this last key to Ohio State bringing home their 12th national championship, I think defense wins championships. And again, with the pass rush as often, your guys are gonna have to make the plays. Your Sawyers, your Caleb Downs, and other role players you have on that defense who we've seen step up of recently as they did in the last game. It's with the 2 turnovers late and under 2 minutes, really preserved their semifinal win. Stay on them. So that's you've got to keep the pressure on the offense, and don't let the little things worry you. Defense wins championships, and I've always said that. I've always liked defense. So with our 3 keys to the game for Ohio State: pass rush, playmakers, and defense. Man, that was a mouthful. So now let's jump over to Notre Dame's keys to the game. Number 1, limit the big play on both sides of the ball. As far as Notre Dame's defense is going to have to step up and keep the Ohio State playmakers, as in Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, and that backfield really in check on the defensive side of the ball. Keeping them from making the big plays, making the 30, 50 yard plus catches, and stay on top of things defensively. Now, offensively, Riley Leonard has to be the leader. Again, with Jeremiah Love and the backfield that they really have a chance to match up well against Ohio State's defense. But I lost my train of thought. It's okay here. Sometimes I think bend but not break, because there are 4 or 5 big plays in each game. But if you can limit that to maybe only 1 or 2, where your defense stays really, really at home and does their job, I think this is going to be pivotal for Notre Dame to win. Number 2, Riley Leonard has to make good decisions. He can't force the ball and making error plays. As far, Leonard with only 8 interceptions, some of them have been on forced balls and stuff like that. I mean, he's threw 8 interceptions, but still 19 touchdowns. He is a good decision maker, but with this tough Ohio State defense, it's going to be pivotal for him to make the right reads and the right calls. And the last key, I mean, this could go for both teams, but keep the penalties to a minimum. As being penalized, the stakes are higher in this game, because one personal foul could change the game. On the 3rd and 2, you get a holding call. 3rd and 12, it really changes the outlook of this game. Cooler heads always prevail. I think Ohio State had a bonehead move last ball game where they got some kind of personal foul, and it really put them out of range of what they were doing. So in this set, again, for both teams, keep your cool, keep your penalties down, and minimize the trying to fight your way back from something that was self-inflicted. All right, so most of you have already made your choices. I think, like I said, we had a lot of things go on. Cody is supposed to join us today, and his plans were scrambled around. Todd's were scrambled around. But I got some graphics here. So I talked to Cody yesterday and talked to him a little bit today. I said, who you got, this, that, and the other. first choice is Cody's going with the Fighting Irish, which is a solid choice. I think they have the tools to win just as much as Ohio State does. But Ohio State is the favorite in this, 55-44. As I think Ohio State's offense is a little more electric than Notre Dame's. And Todd thought the same as well as far as Ohio State. He believes the running back core is really good. Will Howard's going to make the decision to leave his team, and then Jeremiah Smith. So if you're watching, there's a picture of Todd under Ohio State and a picture of Cody under Notre Dame. So that only leaves one person, the one-man show, the Party Marty, the one half of the Bearded Bros. Where am I going for the national championship? Yes, as you've seen all season, I have been a numbers guy. I like the numbers here for Ohio State, but not so fast. I like where Marcus Freeman is, and I'm pulling for the Irish here. I think they have the tools for the upset, if you want to call it that, with Love, Riley Leonard, and their special players, Mitch Jeter, as some of the best special teams around as far as is the kicking game. So really kind of there you have it. Yes, we are at only 15 minutes, and I did not talk long at all. But this is where you're at. Fans, what do you think? I'm going to put a poll up here shortly for the national championship. Let's get involved. Let's see if we can hit some big numbers on this. This is the last game of the season. This is your last chance to pick your horse if you want to go that way. Now that all the football talk is over, we can relax a little bit, take some time down. Let's jump back to our SEC Best All-Time Logo Tournament. Last week was Mississippi State, and I believe we are here at Mizzou. I'm going to break it down for you fans if you're only listening from Spotify again. The Missouri Tigers logo in the 80s was the Mizzou lettering with a tiger coming through it. Jump to the 90s where they went just the gold M on the paw print. Then we're going to the 2000s, which there were a few variations of some of these, mainly in the current one, but the 2000 is a black Missouri M with Missouri lettering under it with a tiger in the forefront. Then now their current logo is just a tiger, black background, gold trim, and there were 3 or 4 different alternates there. As far as color-wise, I think the color got lighter through the years, I believe. So find us out, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the social platforms we got, so you can go vote and help us, being able to promote these kind of things, having a little fun and stuff like that. Well, guys, I hate that we've kind of cut it short. I think I'm about right at close to 20 minutes. Probably one of the shortest shows that we've done. But with everything going on, we wanted to get you something before the national championship started. And again, let's shout out to all of our fans, everything you've done for us this season. And I hope you're looking forward to the off season where there's going to be a lot of content as far as transfer portal, mascot things we've got coming. And just to give you a little quick breakdown as far as a few things. Well, I say I could tell you. I've hit more buttons than. But no, like I said, we're going to have greatest running back, some stadium things, transfer portal, the SEC rewind. So we've got a lot of things coming we're excited about and hope you are too.